Hey, a little bit of the news. I think there's a little bit going on this week. Well-meaning neighbors could wind up facing charges for efforts. What that is, there's an unkept home in the historical district up there. Somebody's like 92 years old, and I think he's in a nursing home or something. And anyway, his yard's not being mowed and all this and that, and so the villages is going to start racking up charges for being out of compliance to the deed restrictions. And so the neighbors went over there and thought they'd clean their yard up for him, help him out, you know, as good neighbors do. And so now they're telling these neighbors that they could be facing charges for trespass. The Villages, Florida's friendliest hometown. Here's another house up in the historical district. I don't know what's going on here. It looks like he dug a huge hole in his front yard. I'm telling you, sometimes in the older areas, I'm concerned about it because the older areas are going to hell in a handbasket. People moving in don't follow rules. The older people, they got kids moving in, and not to say that's bad, but these particular kids, or a good percentage of those kids moving in, are drug habits. They're thieves. They're felons, and they're causing all kinds of havoc up there. I don't say all kinds, but they're causing problems. And I'm saying it's like a cancer. As my neighborhood gets older and people require help, it'll be different names, but the same problem could exist here. So, you know, you have to think about that stuff. Oh, somebody else asked me a question about unkept lawns and things being a problem. Here's what happens. This is one thing that happens. I just explained one thing. Useless kids moving in with grandma and grandpa to help them out, you know, and they're no help at all. But a lot of people, or a certain percentage of people here, are getting what they call reverse mortgages. You've heard about them. And then they die. Well, then who owns the property? Apparently, the people that gave the reverse mortgage, I'm assuming does. They could be in Philadelphia. They could be who knows where. So their yards aren't being mowed, the houses aren't being kept up, the bushes aren't being trimmed, and the property sits for quite a while. I don't know if it takes a while for them to actually get claimed of ownership before they do anything. I don't know how that works, but that's a problem. And in the meantime, neighbors are dealing with, you know, unkept lawns next door, and the Villages has got a legal department. Who knows what they go through to get this stuff done and taken care of, but it takes forever to get anything done. And you got a company in Philadelphia that did a reverse mortgage. They have no idea about rules here or anything like that. And I'm sure they got a massive legal department, just like the Villages has a massive legal department, and it becomes a legal issue. And so these houses sit and they don't get washed. A lot of vinyl siding homes like mine, I have my house washed twice a year. There's many companies you can use. I have the one that I prefer, and I've used them for years. So you get your house washed because that keeps the, I'll call it mold. I'm not sure it's actually mold. It's like an algae. There's a green, like an algae thing that'll start growing on the side of your house, especially if you have a lot of trees around your house. It grows faster. I don't have trees around my house, so I don't have much of a problem with it. But I still wash it twice a year to keep it looking brand new. Oh yeah, that's one of the problems up there is reverse mortgages. So if you are considering coming down here, and if you are considering a reverse mortgage, just keep that in mind, that when your day comes and you're gone, it can be a legal issue of who actually owns that property, who's responsible for the upkeep of that property. It's just something to think about, that's all. Villager with a large hole in his front yard will face repercussions if that hole is not repaired. The property at 3624 Worth Circle in the village of Glenbrook. Ooh, I'm surprised in Glenbrook. That's a nice area, Glenbrook. Was the subject of a public hearing Friday morning before the Community Development District Board 3 of Supervisors. The hole has been caused by issues with the home's irrigation system. A family member told the board that his wife has been deeded the property. See, he died. So his wife was deeded the property, and she's going to say she didn't know anything about the rules. I didn't sign anything. This is what happens. And deeded the property, and that Brian Bernier is living there as a life tenants. I see. He's taking care of things before his time comes. And that's smart. The family member said Berner is responsible for the taxes and the upkeep of the property. He added that Berner will not allow him onto the property or have the repair work performed. He said he doubts that Berner will follow through and ensure the hole is filled. The violation of the large hole, in addition to weeds, was reported on September 23rd to community standards. Staff has spoken with the owner, who advised he has the dirt to repair the hole in the front yard and will remove the weeds from the lot. However, as of this date, the work has not been completed. Candace Dennis of Community Standards reported to CDD3 supervisors. Bernier has been given 7 days to bring the property into compliance. If it is not brought into compliance, the case will be turned over to District Council. The options of District Council range from a lawsuit to a lien. Just fix it, man. Just fill your hole in and quit being a dick about it. I don't get these people. What else we got? The Villages plans more construction near Coleman Federal Prison. The Villager reported the theft of 2 lawn ornaments from a flower bed at her home. The 71-year-old woman said she noticed on November 1 the ornaments were missing from her home in the 700 block of Turnberry Lane in the village of Silver Lake. That's up at the historical site again. She described the ornaments as an oriental person standing and a pagoda, the report said. The yard ornaments had combined value of $150. 239 home subdivision to be built near Villages of Parkwood in Summer Hill. That's I won't say way up there, but that's it's up there a ways, and I don't believe Parkwood is part of the Villages anyway. It could be. That could be one of the child-friendly communities. I'm not familiar with every one of them, but I know there's like 4 or 5 villages within the Villages that are child-friendly. And if you don't want to live around children, you need to make yourself aware of those communities. You don't want to buy a home in there, because I'm just letting you know, children can live there. How it started was many, many years ago, when the Villages really started to come into their own, and they were hiring a lot of people to work for the Villages. Well, a lot of the people that worked for the Villages were needing places that they could live that weren't substandard like they are at some of the surrounding areas back then. This whole area of Florida was poor. And so the Villages started building these child-friendly villages. And in order for you to live there at one time, you had to work for the Villages. I don't think that's true anymore. I could be wrong about that, but if you're going to buy a house, you ask your realtor about it. Here we go, right away. I'm going to read this to you, just so you know that I'm not making this up. Saving seats at town squares is forbidden, but stubbornly persists in the Villages. It does. They know they're not supposed to do it. It causes a lot of problems. But these same people, I think, come back every year and they keep doing it. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Seat saving at the 3 town squares in the Villages is officially forbidden by the entertainment department, which also books the acts at Spanish Springs, Lake Sumter Landing, and Brownwood. But for years, villagers have grudgingly abided by an unsanctioned code in which ribbons, ropes, crime scene tape, and cushions have been used to reserve seats, sometimes several hours before acts take on the stage. With the return of snowbirds and the approaching of the extremely popular Christmas tree lighting events nearing, the district office issued a reminder last week. While personal folding chairs are allowed at events on the squares, the setting up and leaving of chairs prior to 3 p.m. is prohibited. If you are using the chairs provided, seat saving is not permitted prior to the beginning of the entertainment unless a member of your party remains with your seats. Do not block walkways and be courteous towards others and ensure safe passage by all. Some seat-saving incidents have reached the boiling point and resulted in arrest, including the arrest of a Village of Hillsborough man and a Water Oker. He don't live here. He's from another area. But remember, I've said it before, everything in our town square area, that includes restaurants, the town square itself, all that is open to the public. So when you go down to the town square, don't be under the illusion that everybody there is a village resident. They're not. Things happen down there. I wish it was to the residents and their guests only. And I think a lot of other people think that. But it's not ever going to happen. But there's been golf carts stolen down there by people that come to the town square scrupulously looking for things to steal. They come in from wherever. And don't leave your key in your golf cart. I'm not saying that's a guarantee that it'll never get stolen, but it sure helps. Don't leave a key in your golf cart. Don't leave your purse. Don't leave personal belongings in your golf cart. I've always said if you possibly can, park that golf cart to where you're going to be sitting if you're going to the square at night, so you can kind of glance over and see it, just to keep an eye on it. There's people come down there all the time, and they steal, they cause problems. Be aware of it. That's all I'm saying. Now, if you're going to save seats, like here's a good picture right here. Let me get this picture, I'll show you. This guy's doing things legally. You may not like it, but according to the village's rules, it's legal. Come on. Focus, 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 focus. There we go. See all them chairs he's saving right there? He's got cushions on every seat. He's saving those seats. But according to the village's rule, he's sitting there. And as long as he's sitting there, or at least one person is sitting there, he's allowed to save those seats. I'm just showing you how you can actually save a seat legally and not have any problems. Now, here's another one. Let me get this one up. This is in Brownwood. I can tell by the seat. Here's another one. Let me get it to focus here. There we go. You see that guy? You see the rope you've got going across the seats right there? He's saving these seats, but he's sitting there. And according to the village's own rules, that's legal. He can do that. But let me see if I can find one here that's inappropriate. Right here. Here we go. Here's another one. Let me get this thing to focus again. You see those seats being saved? He's got the cushions in them. You see the rope? See the rope being tied on them chairs across there? I don't know how many he's saving there. Picture doesn't really show how many. But anyway, you can see what I'm talking about. You see anybody sitting there? I can tell you those chairs, that's Spanish Springs. That's way up north. There's more and more problems up there because I don't know why. It's just becoming in my mind, I'm just going to tell you how it is. I wouldn't buy a house up there. That's me. That's totally inappropriate. That's against the rules. They can't do that. So somebody's liable to go up there and see that, and he'll take the rope off of them chairs, take all them seat cushions off, and maybe just set them over there in a flower bed somewhere. And this happened many times. Just like the report was saying, some people went to jail. Seems to me I recall a fight breaking out once because of it. You got to remember, things like this happen. People go out to have a drink or two or three or four, and then they come to the square half liquored up, and they see somebody sitting in their chairs, and then all of a sudden, he's Mr. Superman, and he's going to take everybody on. So that happens. So just be aware that these things happen at the squares. This is not a restricted neighborhood or anything about it. Know where you're at, know what you're doing, keep an eye on stuff, be safe, have fun, and enjoy yourself when you do go to the squares. Because 99% of the time, nothing ever happens. Everything is fine. But just know that once in a while, these things do happen. And if you're down at the square and you see somebody walking through there and acting kind of funny, and he looks like he's like 20 years old or something, or maybe even older, if he looks homeless, there's a good possibility that person is not a resident here, and he's just somebody to maybe keep an eye on. I know I'm going to get some comments about what I just said, but God gave you feelings inside for a reason. If you feel nervous about something, there's a reason. Adhere to it. I'll see you guys on the other side. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.